Hey everybody, this is Ray from the Great Falls Public Library, and today I want to show you how to make this. It's a basic face mask based on a pattern from cdc.gov. It is completely hand sewn, and it just has 4 little seams and a couple of adjustable ear loops. And right now we have kits in 4 different sizes to fit kids, all of our school age kids and teens. They're available for pickup in Kids Place, and this is a project that folks 8 to 18 should be able to do at least part of. It is definitely an adult supervision type of project, especially for our younger ones, because there are needles and sewing pins in the kit. And it is a little bit challenging if you haven't done hand sewing before, but I want to tell you guys, I want you to think about it for just a second. Think about how cool it's going to be when you go back to school with your awesome face mask that you made yourself and somebody says, "Oh, I like your mask. Where did you get it?" And you get to say, "Thanks, I made it myself." Let's get started.
All right, before we get started, let's gather our supplies. So if you have a mask making kit from the library, almost everything that you need is included in the kit. The only thing that you need that isn't in the kit is a pair of scissors or some nail clippers to cut your thread, and you might find a ruler helpful. If you don't have a kit, you are welcome to download our instruction packet, and you can find that at greatfallslibrary.org. And cut out your own fabric, and it's just woven cotton fabric. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got in the kit. We've got 2 pieces of fabric. One of them is longer than the other. The longer piece is the front, and the other piece is just going to be the piece that faces you. Nobody's going to see this one. All right, you're going to need some thread. You're going to need a needle, 3 sewing pins, and a safety pin. And we have these all tucked away in an envelope for you. It is still possible to poke yourself with them though, guys. So be really, really careful, and also be sure to keep these away from small children and from pets. They are pretty pokey and pretty dangerous. So adult supervision for sure. All right, and to make our ear loops, our adjustable ear loops for our mask, we're going to need 2 pieces of elastic and 4 pony beads or other beads with fairly large holes. All right, let's get started. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to figure out which side of our fabric is the right side and which side of our fabric is the wrong side. What does that mean? So if we take a look at our fabric here, we can see that one side is brighter and prettier. This side only has the print, and only has the print on one side. You can't really even see, not much on the back. So there's definitely a side that we want facing out. And I know that this is a little bit confusing, but trust me, we are going to start by putting the pretty side on the inside of our mask, because we are going to flip this around inside out. So I put the 2 right sides of the fabric, the 2 pretty sides together, and now I have the dull wrong sides on the outside. And I want to center that short piece of fabric, which is going to be your back, on the longer one like that. And we're going to have about 3/4 of an inch of fabric that sticks off the sides. Right, time to pin it. So be really, really careful with your pinning, guys. You don't want to be holding it and then stick it through and stick yourself. So you want to look on both sides of your fabric. The idea here is that we're going to go through the fabric and then come back up, and then our pin is going to hold the fabric together for us. So look on both sides, poke it through, and then bring it back up. So there's the end poking out the top. All right. I'm going to do one more. You might like to use all 3 of your pins, especially if you have a larger mask. Okay, so when I sew, I'm going to sew right above my pins. I don't want to sew down here because that will make my mask tiny. And I don't want to sew right on the edge because that will make the fabric come apart. Okay. Now it's time to thread our needle. So I know this is super tricky, and unfortunately I was not able to get great close-up shots of things like threading the needle. But thankfully there are many wonderful, talented YouTubers who have made much better videos of this than I ever could. So I am going to be including links so that you can see close up. All right, we want to cut about an arm's length of thread. Like so. And then we're going to hold our needle. The pointy end is down, and we see the end with the eye, so that's the top right there. And we want to hold our thread really close to the end and stick it right through. Okay? And that can be tricky, and that is just fine. If you need a hand, you can ask a grown-up for help. All right, and then we are going to tie what I like to call the big ugly knot. It is big, it's ugly, it kind of looks like a spider made of thread, but it doesn't pull through the fabric. So that's why we tie the big ugly knot. So I have my 2, I actually don't have my ends even. I'm just gonna trim them so they're even. Yeah, there we go. So there's the 2 ends of my thread and they are even. I'm gonna fold it over. So now I have 4 layers of thread in my hand, and then I'm gonna just wrap it around my finger to tie a knot. So now I can trim off all of this extra thread. And now I have a knot that isn't going to pull through my fabric. And this will be completely hidden because right now we're sewing on the inside of the mask. And I will show you a little bit later when we go to sew the side channels on our mask, where our ear loops are going to go, we can actually hide the knot inside the channel and nobody will ever see it. All right, let's get started. We've got our needle. Pinch your fabric like this. Watch out for those straight pins. Very important, guys. The heads of your pins need to be facing the hand that holds the needle. Because if I'm over here and I sew this way, I'm going to poke myself. Okay? So you might need to flip your pins over if they aren't going that way, and if you're good to go, let's go. So pinch your fabric. We're going to take our needle. We're going to start right about here. It's a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so a 1/4 inch down from the edge. We're going to stick our needle through. Look at both sides. Don't stab yourself. And pull it all the way through. Fabulous. All right, this is called a running stitch. It's going to look just like a dashed line. We want it to be more or less straight across the top here. And we also want the stitches to be pretty tiny, and that'll help your mask last longer. All right, so we're on the back. We're going to come back to the front. Pull it all the way through. Good job. Poke it through to the back. Pull it all the way through. Poke it through back to the front. Pull it all the way through. Some threads from the edge of my fabric there. if you have those, if they're in your way, you can just trim those babies right off. Good job. Let's keep going. Going down, look through, don't stab yourself. Pull it through, back to the front. Awesome. Now we're going to do a back stitch, which is exactly what we've been doing, except instead of going this way, we're going to take one stitch back, and that will help keep our seam from coming apart. So, going right back through. And then bring it back up to the front. Great job, guys. Let's do another back stitch. One stitch back, and then bring it back to the front. Awesome. Fabulous work. We are going to keep sewing all the way across. And the fabric changes color in 5, 4, 3, 2. But guys, very important. So when you start to run out of thread, stop sewing and tie it off. So you want as much thread as your finger to tie your knot with. So keep going with me, and I think I will actually make it all the way down here with this thread, but we are going to tie that off at the end, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, I made it all the way to the end, and now it's time to tie off my thread. I'm going to take my needle. I'm going to pick up this last stitch right here, slide my needle under, and then we're going to tie 3 knots. So I can take my needle, because I have this long tail that's longer than my finger. This is super, super easy this way. If it's a little bit shorter, you can still do it, but it's a good idea to think ahead and save yourself plenty of thread to tie off. So there, I'm going through the loop one time, pick it up again, go through the loop a second time, and then one more time. And now we can cut that off. And that's our first seam. So I was thinking about this while I was looking at this, guys. So I have been hand sewing since I was probably younger than you are now. And this is what my straight line looks like. And this is what my even stitches look like, which is to say that it is neither straight nor even. This mask is going to be totally fine. So I want you guys to, if you are having a moment where you're like, I can't do this, I am not doing a very good job. Is this the first time you've done something like this? Is it only the second or the third or the fifth? You're doing amazing, because you're taking on a new challenge. It doesn't have to be perfect. It will probably be just fine. If it isn't just fine, on the off chance, you have enough materials to make 2 masks in your kit, and you're learning. So even if your first mask doesn't turn out awesome, which I'm pretty sure it will, you learned what you needed to do to make the second mask awesome. So just be really nice to you. You're taking on a new challenge, and That is a wonderful thing. All right, so let's pin our other side, and then we're going to just sew it just like we did our first side. Pin goes through. Watch your fingers when you stick it through to the back side, and back up. Going to thread our needle again. Unless you happen to have a bunch of thread on your needle still, then you can just tie a knot, a big ugly one or a nice one, however works for you. Thread goes right through the eye. Line the ends up. I'm going to tie the big ugly knot, fold it over. Trim off that extra. Here we go. Right, let's tie it off. Pick up the last stitch with the needle, go through the loop once, twice, 3 times, and cut it off. And now we're ready to turn it right side out. Okay, so this is going to be the front side of my mask. I'm just laying it out and kind of smushing it down with my hands a little bit, and then here's the back. So we want to lay it out with the back side up, and now we are going to make channels on the sides for the elastic to go through. Do you see there's a little tube in here for the elastic to go through? Right, so to do this, we're going to start on one side. So we are going to fold over 3/4 of an inch, and then we're going to fold over 3/4 of an inch again. So if you have a ruler or a measuring tape and you think that would be helpful, by all means do it that way. Otherwise, we're just going to take the fabric from the front that's sticking over the back, and we're going to fold that over, and then fold it over again. Make that a little bit wider. We don't want it to be too tight, otherwise it'll be hard to get the elastic into it. Then I'm going to grab my pins, and I'm going to pin it, and remember, you want the heads of your pins facing the hand that's going to hold your needle. And now we're going to sew right along this edge. Because this isn't a raw edge, that is to say that the fabric is folded over, we can get pretty close to that edge. It'll be just fine. All right, here we go. So I have a big ugly knot here, and this stitching is actually going to show because here's the front of the mask. So we will have a line of stitching right there, and then we'll be able to see our stitching in the back too. So to hide our knot, we are going to take our needle and come from the inside of that channel for our elastic, and now it's gone. We're going to back stitch to the edge. And then we're going to continue sewing all the way down here and tie it off. All right, time to tie it off. Okay, so there's our channel for our elastic to go through. And we are almost done, guys. Are you excited? I bet you're ready. Ready to be done. We are going to do exactly the same thing on this side. So we're folding that side over, folding it over again. We're going to pin it and sew it. Guys, we're all done sewing. Tie that off. And now we're ready to work on the elastic straps. To make the adjustable ear straps, you are going to need 2 pieces of round or flat elastic cut out according to the size chart in the packet. For plastic, or I think you could even do wooden beads. Pony beads work, anything with a kind of a big hole. And a safety pin, which is also sharp. All right, here we go. So take one of your beads and put it onto your elastic. And then we're going to move it to the middle. Now, take your other bead. This one is going to go on both pieces of elastic. So slide it onto one. And then slide the other piece through as well. Okay, and then pull it down to the middle. So there's your first strap. Let's make the other one. Right. One side and then the other. You see how I'm pulling on both of those ends tight to make it a little bit easier to get the other piece of elastic through the bead. All right. So there are our 2 adjustable ear loops. Let's put them in our mask. So take your first ear loop. we are going to take one end and we're going to put the safety pin through the end and close it. Be really careful you don't stab yourself, guys. It's pokey. All right. And now I'm going to use the safety pin to feed the elastic through the channel. The safety pin makes it a lot easier to grab onto. And there it is, coming right out the other side. So we'll take the safety pin off. Close it so we're not poking with ourselves with it. And then we're going to tie a double knot. Got away from me there. All right. And if we hold all four sides at once, we can tug on it to tighten it without it getting away from us. And then we can pull on the end with the beads and the side with the knot will go into the channel so we don't see it anymore. It's hidden. And there's one strap done. Let's do the other one. Let's put the safety pin carefully through the elastic. Close it. Feed it into that channel. Take that safety pin off and close it. Tie another double knot. Pull on all of the ends to tighten it. And then pull the knot into the channel so that it's hiding. And that's your mask. I hope that your mask turned out amazing. I hope that if it didn't turn out amazing, that you recognize, one, this is really hard, and two, you just learned a ton of new stuff. If you have never done sewing before, or if you've only done a little bit, you're amazing. Try it again. There's enough in your kit to make 2 masks. Your second one will be beautiful. If it's not, try again. You're doing amazing. Have a wonderful school year, guys. Bye-bye.